नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः गोविन्दाय नमो नमः गोविन्दाय नमो नमः. So greetings to all for Gudi Padwa, Ugadi, Chaitra, Navratra that starts today. Also Ramadan. Not sure if I'm missing anything here. A new year for a number of states in India. So Sadhu Prabhuji, if you are able to share the screen, we can start now. Okay. Yeah, next slide. Next slide, please. Yeah, I can see. How about others?
Yeah, it's very much visible, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Okay.
Yes, Prabhu, it is visible.
Okay, very good, very good. So if you can see those contents, I grouped it so we can focus on the purpose of Advent, primary associates, get an overview of the life, teachings, and the 8 verses. All of you are very well aware of it, or we can skip some part and then jump. And then the next sections possibly need 2 more sessions to cover the birth and childhood times, the youthful phase, then how the initiation happened, and then the Sankirtan movement started. Then when he took sannyasa and came to Puri, thereafter he traveled to southern India, more pastimes in Puri, then travel in the northern India, mainly Prayaga, Varanasi, and Vrindavan, Mathura, and again back in Puri in the final years. So I'm not adding anything from my side. I'm just reading from this book, and I have put the contents there. So first thing is, what is the objective? So objective here is to understand and appreciate Lord Chaitanya's compassion, his sweetness, his mood, and the mission. That is the objective. And when we begin to know about him, so all of us are deep into the Krishna conscious movement. It is spread all over the world, and we know that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the originator of it. However, maybe I won't say this for the devotees, but I can count myself there. A lot of people misunderstand him, and sometimes they just think that he's a great devotee, whereas our scriptures very clearly reveal that he is none other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, for this discussion or the contents for the first part, which is the introduction, teachings, and the 8 verses, I have the slides which we are going to go through. But for the rest, which are the chapters from 1 to 9, I just have some notes, so I'll be talking through only. And so as we begin to understand the purpose of Advent, can anyone tell why he came?
To propagate the holy name, the importance of holy name, and spread the glories of the Supreme Lord.
Yes, that is right. So Sadhu Prabhuji, we can move to the next slide. So this will just focus on the first section. Right. So you're right, Mataji. So Krishna is famous as Shyam Sundara, who is blackish as the dark clouds, beautiful, while Lord Chaitanya is Gaur Sundara, golden and beautiful. So appearing in this wonderful fair feature due to combining with Sri Radha. Who is Radha? His eternal concert and pleasure potency. So he is the combined form of Sri Radha Krishna, but with the mood and complexion of Radha. And as Mataji said, come to teach us the worship of Sri Radha Krishna. So in one of the lectures, His Grace Radhanath Swami Maharaj, he is quoting Sri Krishna Das Kaviraj, few external reasons and few internal reasons for the Lord to appear. In the external reasons, he mentions as the Lord has taken the pledge, Yada Yada Hi Dharmasya, to establish the Yug Dharma. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared to explain the importance of Sankirtan. And then, as it is always, to answer the prayers of the special devotees like Sri Advaita, Srivas Thakur, and his brothers Haridasa Thakur, who are praying for Lord to come because of the situations prevailing then. So these are some of the external reasons. And then there are some internal reasons. So internal reasons, Maharaj explains that Krishna, as we know, knows everything, whether it is past or present or what's going to happen in future. Right? However, he still wants to understand the glory of Sri Radha's love. To understand what are the qualities in him that she relished, and to also understand the happiness that she feels when she realizes her love, Sri Krishna. She conquers him, right? So who can conquer the God? God, nobody can conquer, right? But Sri Radha is able to do that every moment with her love. So, and then it is further explained that he has come in the form of his own devotee to relish the bliss of devotional service, which we are all trying to understand and do, and also to teach others that how Krishna can be worshipped or obtained. So he didn't advertise himself as the Supreme Lord, though in the presence of his close associates, there were multiple instances which we'll go through, and some of them we are going to touch in this class. So where, he clearly manifested himself in the various forms. So any particular reason, if people may ask, like, why he didn't advertise himself as a Supreme Lord? Because this could have disturbed his mood of a devotee. That's the adopted mood of a devotee. So therefore, he is also known as a covered avatar. Next slide, Prabhuji. Yes. So this is a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 9, verse 38. Itam नीतिर्यागऋषि देव जासा अवतारे लोकान् विभावयसि हंसि जगत् प्रतिपान् धर्मं महापुरुष पासि युगाननुव्रतं जना कलौ यत् अभावा त्रियोगो अथा सत्वम् इतं नीतिर्याग ऋषि देवा जासा अवतारे लोकान् विभवयसि हंसि जगत् प्रतिपान् धर्म महापुरुष पासी युगानुव्रतं जना कलौ यदभाव त्रियोगो था सत्वम्. Vasant Prabhuji, would you like to take this?
Yes, Prabhu. Word to word, Prabhu?
Yeah, you can recite the words also and then continue with the synonyms and translation.
Yeah, okay. Ittam Tirgya Rishi Deva Jagnavatar Lokhan Vibhava Yashi Hamsi Jagat Pratipan Dharma Mahapurusha Pashi Yuha Nuvat Vratam Channa Kalo Yad Abgahas Triyuha Ata Satvam. In this way, my Lord, you appear in various incarnations as a human being, an animal, a great saint, a demigod, a fish, or a tortoise, thus maintaining the entire creation in different planetary system and killing the demoniac principles. According to the age, O my Lord, you protect the principles of religion. In the age of Kali, however, you do not assert yourself as a supreme personality of Godhead, and therefore, Prabhu, can you move, Prabhu? Move a bit up, Prabhu. Yeah, and no.
On the
The previous
previous
one.
slide, you have to shrink the
Yeah, and
content for
therefore,
the lower section.
you are known as Trayuga, or the Lord who appears in 3 yugas. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare.
So if we go through the translation, which is from Srimad Bhagavatam, so it's mentioned that you are appearing in various incarnations as a human being, as an animal, as a great saint, as a demigod, a fish, or a tortoise, thus maintaining the entire creation in different planetary systems and killing the demonic principles. According to the age, oh my Lord, you protect the principles of the religion. That's the primary objective. So in this age of Kali Yuga, however, you do not assert yourself as the supreme personality of Godhead. And therefore you are known as Tri Yuga, or the Lord who appears in 3 yugas only. So some scholars interpret this verse to mean that the Lord doesn't descend into this world in Kali Yuga. However, we know that this is not consistent with his own statements from Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So next slide, please. Yes, next. Yeah. So Preeta Mataji, would you like to read this from Srimad Bhagavad Gita?
Yeah, sure, Prabhuji. परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय संभवामि युगे युगे.
So thank you, Mataji. So the translation is to deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion. I myself appear millennium after millennium. So from the previous verse, which is from Bhagavatam, there could be some interpretations for some that the Lord actually appeared only in the 3 yugas. He is not coming in the Kali Yuga. But we read from Bhagavad Gita, and we know that to re-establish the principles of religion, to protect the pious, and also to destroy the miscreants, the Lord says, Lord takes a pledge that I appear millennium after millennium. So the Lord has to come, and Lord has come. So we'll continue, and then we'll take another verse again from Bhagavatam. So this one is from Canto 11, Chapter 5, verse 3-2. Krishnavarnam tvisa Krishnam Sangopangastra Parsadam Yagnai Sankirtana Prayet Yajanti Hi Sumedasa. Krishnavarnam tvisa Krishnam Sangopangastra Parsadam Yajnai Sankirtana Prayet Yajanti Hi Sumedasa. So, Mamta Mataji, would you like to recite the verse?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Krishna Varnam Krishnam San Gopayan Chagastra Prasadam Yagneya Sankirtana Prayare Yajanti Hi Sumedhasaha.
Thank you, Mataji. Krishna Varnam Tvisa Krishnam Sangopangastra Parsadam Yajnai Sankirtana Prayet Yajanti Hi Sumedasa. Sadhu Prabhuji, would you like to take it?
Sure, Prabhuji. Prabhu, what shloka and what the translation, Prabhu?
Yes, both. Yes.
Both. Okay, Prabhu. Thank you. Krishna Varnam Tvisha Krishnam Sango Pangastra Parshadam Yajner Sankirtanam Prayet Yajanti Hi Sumedasha. Translation. In the age of Kali, intelligent persons perform congregational chanting to worship the incarnation of Godhead, who constantly sings the name of Krishna. Although his complexion is not blackish, he is Krishna himself. He is accompanied by his associates, servants, weapons, and confidential companions. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. So we took a verse where some would interpret that the Lord is not coming in this Kali, and then we take another verse, as we know from Bhagavad Gita, where the Lord pledge that I will come in each of the millenniums. And then we take another verse from Bhagavatam that clearly establishes that in this age of Kali, the intelligent persons perform chanting, congregational chanting to worship the incarnation of Godhead, who constantly sings the names of Krishna. So who is this Godhead? Who is this incarnation? It is Sri Krishna Chaitanya, because he is, we know that constantly singing the names of Krishna. And it is also mentioned that his complexion is not blackish. So he has a golden complexion, but it is clearly stated here that he is Krishna himself. And then he is accompanied by various associates, servants, his confidential companions. So this verse clearly establishes. So we continue on the next slide for more interpretation here. So Ati Sundari Mataji, would you like to read this?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. In Kali Yuga, intelligent men worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is always accompanied by his associates such as Nityananda, Advaita, Gadadhara, and Srivasa. The entire Krishna consciousness movement is based on the principle of the Sankirtan movement inaugurated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Therefore, one who tries to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the medium of the Sankirtan movement known everything perfectly. He is Sumedha, a person with substantial intelligence. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. So this explanation goes further, and it talks about the intelligence of all the devotees, which all of you are, and it clearly explains that who is this personality, and then who are his main associates, right? And what are the principles? It's all about the Sankirtan movement, right? And whosoever is trying to understand through the medium of this Sankirtana movement actually knows everything perfectly. He's Sumedha, a person with lots of intelligence, which all of you are. So for people like me, took a lot of time. Still, sometimes I go into that those kind of questions that, why we are focusing so much on Sankirtana, why we are focusing so much on chanting, and just trying to understand why there is so much emphasis on that. And as some of you who could attend the last class, which Mitra Madhav Prabhuji took, so he also emphasized that we do other services also, but we become qualified for doing other services only when we are chanting and we are participating and associating with other devotees and doing the Sankirtana. So this is essential. So this is some information about the purpose of the Advent for Mahaprabhu. And If we take the next slide, in the first section, we look at the major years of Mahaprabhu. So the first 24 years were in Navdeepa, West Bengal. Thereafter, he renounced and accepted sannyasa. The following 6 years, he traveled South India, around Bengal, and then in northern India, with Puri as the headquarters. And then the final 18 years, he stayed in Puri with so many pastimes. So the Lord has many names. His father titled him as Vishwambara. Then in his youth, he was called Nimai Pandita. When he took sannyas, he became Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as we know. And throughout his pastime, he is known as Gauranga or Gaurhari because of his golden complexion. So the next section is about the associates and the scholars. So let's see his family members and the primary associates. So the first one is Jagannath Mishra. So can anyone tell who is Jagannath Mishra and who actually is he in terms of the incarnation?
Prabhuji is the father of
Mahaprabhuji's father.
Yes, and who is he in this age? Who is he representing?
I think Vasudeva Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah, so he's a combined avatar of Vasudeva and Nanda.
Nanda.
Okay.
Yeah. So next is Sachi Devi. Who is Sachi Devi?
Mother of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Mother of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Yeah, and who is she representing?
Combined form of Devaki and Yashodama.
Yashoda, yes.
Perfect, perfect. Mahaprabhu. And next is Nityananda Prabhu. Who is he?
Balarama.
You're right.
Constant associate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Sorry, say that again, Prabhuji.
No, constant associate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Prabhu.
Yes, yes. And he is, as Mataji said, he is Balrama.
Yeah.
The next one is Advaita Acharya. Who is Advaita Acharya?
Who invoked the prayers to appear like a Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this Kali Yuga. I think he is the incarnation of Shiva.
Yes, perfect, Prabhuji. Yes, so Advaita Acharya was constantly praying to the Supreme Lord, offering tulsi leaves and pleading the Lord to appear. You're right. And then he is a combined avatar of Mahavishnu and Sadashiva. Okay, so next is Gadadhar Pandita. Who is he?
Constant associate Prabhu, and he's the incarnation of Srimati Radharani.
Yes, perfect, Prabhuji. Next one is Srivasa Pandit.
Is a incarnation of Narada Muni.
Narada Muni.
Yes, you're right. You know everything. Next one is Swarup Damodara.
So he is constant associate, like where Mahaprabhu revealed many of the pastimes to Swarup Damodara.
Yeah, you're right. And who is
And
he
his-
representing?
Prabhuji Lalita Sakhi Prabhu.
You're close, Prabhuji. I think he's Visakha, Gopi Visakha.
Oh, okay, Prabhu. Sorry.
Yes, you're right. And then Ramananda Raya.
Prabhuji, he was governor of the Madras province at that time, which is like, I mean, currently it is like some part of Andhra Pradesh, I think.
And yeah,
And
amazing, Prabhuji. Yeah, so he is the governor of the South Extension for King Prataparudra, and very important eternal associate. And he is representing the Gopi or Sakhi Lalita here.
okay,
So all of you got it right. These are the primary associates, and then we also take a look at other noted scholars. So other noted scholars include Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya, Prakasananda Saraswati, and we know the Goswamis, right? And mainly Sanatana Goswami, Rupa Goswami, who all accepted Gauranga's divinity, and this is based on the various feats that he performed to changing the lives of people, also on the Vedic references, right? And then simply the way he bestowed the highest possible love to everyone, including the sinful people. And then we also know that Mahaprabhu, though we call him as a covered avatar, and he didn't declare himself as a supreme personality, Godhead, we know he is through the Vedic references, and he revealed his manifested forms a lot of times to his close associates. So I believe, as you might be knowing about all these scholars, but in case you want to know more, so as we discuss through the various chapters and pastimes, so these will come up. So I would also like to add here that we actually don't need a proof, because the divinity is present today in the spread of Krishna consciousness. The greatest thing about Mahaprabhu is people from any background, the pious activities, having scriptural knowledge, following the Vedic culture, they all come together, and they have given up their sinful activities and then dedicated their life to the service of Krishna. And then in this process, they become purified and are getting elevated through the special mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates. Now, throughout his pastimes, there is a focus on, the exhibition of the moods and the ecstasy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And just to, dwell a little bit on this. So sometimes his head, his arms and legs would merge into his body. Other times the limbs would become disjointed and then just remain loosely attached through the skin only. And often when he chanted Hare Krishna, his body would get covered through goosebumps, tears would come out, the foam would come out of his mouth. He would jump very high into the air again and again, and then crash down on the earth. The earth would shake, and he would just continue. So this is all not possible for someone normal, someone who is one as a normal human, and all his exhibitions are unparalleled. So we have now, discussed the purpose of the Advent, taken a look at the primary years and who were the associates and the other noted scholars who were along with Mahaprabhu in his mission. So now we'll continue to the next section, which is what are the primary teachings. So there is a verse here from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15, verse 15. We have the translation here that I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me comes remembrance, knowledge, and the forgetfulness. By all the Vedas, I am to be known, and indeed I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. So, what are the primary teachings of Lord Chaitanya. So the Mahaprabhu actually he brought the Vaishnava philosophy to its ultimate conclusion, right? So can anyone tell what we call this philosophy?
Achintya
Please,
Bheda Tattva.
Yes, Prabhu. Achinta Bheda Bheda.
Yes, perfect. You are all knowing. Achinta Beda Beda Tattva. So what does that tell us? That it is about the simultaneous oneness and also the difference, right? So we are all individual souls. We are one with the God. However, we are one only in quality, but not in quantity. And there is analogy here that there is a drop of water, ocean water, and then you compare that with the entire ocean, right? So we are one in quality with the supreme soul. The individual soul is in sync with as far as the quality is concerned, but not in quantity. So there's a massive difference. A drop of the ocean water is actually part of the ocean, but not the ocean itself. Right? So the central point here is that the jiva or the living entity, it can never be accepted at the same level as Krishna. This has to be cleared. There's lots of confusion. Some philosophies tell that actually they are the same, but they are not. So here on the screen you can see that Lord Chaitanya accepted the philosophies which were propagated by great Vaishnava acharyas who appeared before him. And a few of them here, like Madhavacharya. So from Madhavacharya, he adopted the complete defeat of Mayavad and the service to the deity of Krishna. From Ramanujarya, Sripad Ramanujarya, Lord Chaitanya adopted the concept of bhakti, unpolluted by karma and jnana, and the importance of service to the devotees. From Sri Vishnu Swami, he incorporated the sentiment of exclusive dependence on Krishna. And from Nimbarka, he accepted the necessity of taking shelter of Radha and the high esteem of gopis' love of Krishna. So Lord Chaitanya further taught that Krishna is to be worshipped, and so is his holy abode, which is Vrindavan. So Lord Chaitanya taught that Krishna is to be worshipped, and the abode, his abode Vrindavan, is to be worshipped. And then he accepted Srimad Bhagavatam as the ultimate Vedic evidence. So who is to be worshipped? Krishna. The abode of Krishna is also to be worshipped. Which is the Vedic reference for us? It is Srimad Bhagavatam. Then what is the ultimate purpose of life for us? The ultimate purpose is the attainment of the love of God. That is the ultimate purpose of life. And then he further declared that the love of God on the level of gopis as the topmost of all. So Mahaprabhu is not just a philosopher, but a preacher who made the path of love of God available to all. He taught the chanting of the holy names of Krishna as the most feasible means, the most practical means of self-realization in this modern age. And also the simple method he distributed to all, which we call as the Krishna consciousness. Right. So the easiest way, the most practical way, the most feasible way of doing the self-realization in this age is just to chant the holy names of Krishna and to spread the Krishna consciousness. So I repeat, Krishna is to be worshipped, so as is Holy Dham Vrindavan, his abode, Srimad Bhagavatam, ultimate Vedic reference, right? Purpose of life is the attainment of the love of God, right? and then the way the gopis, they love the God that is the topmost, right? And then in this modern age or in the Kali Yuga where we are, the most easy or the practical or the feasible way of doing the self-realization is through Krishna consciousness, the devotional service as chanting of the holy names. So these are some of the primary teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And so the question comes to mind that did he himself write any books? So no, he did not write any books himself, but he instructed his followers, and especially the six Goswamis of Vrindavan, to write. So in the next section, Sadhu Prabhuji, one more click. You can see here. I'm not going to read all of it, but you can see the primary work from Srila Rupa Goswami, Srila Sanatana Goswami, the Jiva Goswami. These are the extensive, voluminous work that includes books, that includes guides, that includes instructions for the Vaishnavas, also comments on Bhagavatam, also about the pastimes of Krishna, Dwarka and Vrindavan, right? Then about the philosophy, right? And we know that who has taken this forward is Srila Prabhupada, who has written so many books on this philosophy and then spread all over the world. So just to summarize those teachings, the practical method of God realization, which is propagated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it is that everyone, irrespective of their background, caste, color, religion, nationality, always and anywhere, anytime. So everyone, always, anywhere, anytime, can chant the names of Krishna, especially the Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So how it helps us? The chanting destroys the sinful effects that lead to the horror of hellish punishment. All the karmas or the sinful activities that we may engage in, they're going to lead us to punishment. Right? We have to go through the hell for that. Chanting destroys the sinful effects. Birth in the animal form, right? We don't want to go back. This birth in the human form is most rare. It's given us this opportunity. And in this human form, as we've been put into this world, so we have to go through the birth, we have to go through the challenges in life, we have to go through sickness at times. Everyone is affected by some sort of problem, one problem or the other. So we want to avoid all that. So the only way to do that, which is the easy way, the practical way, applicable to all, universal, and having no restrictions on the time, place, is just to chant the names of Krishna in the Mahamantra, right? And then ultimately, as Krishna says in the concluding chapter, 18th chapter in Bhagavad Gita, that abandon everything and just surrender to me and do it without fear. And I will absolve all of your sins and then give you moksha, right, which is the liberation, right? So the chanting bestows mukti, and that is the objective. And then most importantly for us, the liberation is not the ultimate objective or the final objective. So ultimate objective is to get the pure love of Krishna for us. So this is about, the primary teachings of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And now we move on to the next section, which is as we discussed that he himself did not write any books, but he did ask his associates, they wrote. And though there is a set of instructions which all of you know by heart, and then we are always reciting. So we can quickly one by one go through these verses. So I request Ati Sundari Mataji to take the first one.
चेतो दर्पणमार्जनं भवमहादवाग्नि निर्वापरम्
Sorry, Mataji, we lost you. Okay, Sadhu Prabhuji, can you hear us? Okay. Preeti Sarupni Madhvi Devi Dasi Mataji, can you hear us?
Yeah, Prabhuji. Yeah. I think we lost Prabhuji with the connection of Sunil Prabhu.
Okay. So I see you there. I see Mamta Mataji also there. I think
Yeah, Prabhu. Yeah.
Okay, Mataji. So
We can just wait for Sunil Prabhuji
No,
to
you
join.
can recite now.
Okay.
Prabhu, she can recite, Prabhu.
No, Adya.
Yeah, please. So all of us will take each one verse each. Yeah.
Yeah, sure, Prabhu.
Ito
चेतो दर्पणमार्जनं भवमहादवाग्निर्वापनं श्रेया कैरवचन्द्रिका वितरणं विद्यावधुजीवनम् आनन्दाम्बुधिवर्धनं प्रतिपदं पूर्णामृतस्वादनं सर्वात्मा स्नपनं परं विजयते श्रीकृष्णसङ्कीर्तनम् हरे कृष्ण.
Hare Krishna. Beautiful, Mataji. Thank you. Translation: Glory to Shri Krishna Sankirtana, which cleanses the heart of all dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtana movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. Next slide.
Prabhuji, is it visible now? Sorry, Prabhu, there was power off, so I had to reconnect, Prabhu.
No worries, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. So, Prabhuji, yourself or Ati Sundari Mataji can take this one.
Yes, Prabhuji. नामकारी बहुधा निज सर्वशक्ति तत्रापि तानि अमिता स्मरणे न कालः एतादृशी तव कृपा भगवन् ममापि दुर्दैवम् ईदृशम् इह जनेनानुरागः.
Thank you, Mataji. So the translation is, O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to the living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. We take the next instruction. Mamta Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Pranadi api shunichena tarorapi shahishuna amanina manadena kirtane sadahari.
Very nice. Thank you, Mataji. So one should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. So there is a lot of explanation here that it's not just the chanting, but how we should chant, what should be the mood while chanting. It's very important for all of us. The next one, Sadhu Prabhuji.
Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam va jagadish kamaye, mama janmani janmaneshware, bhavatad bhaktir ahetuki tvai.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So, Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I want to have any number of followers, nor do I want to enjoy all the pleasures. I just want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. Next one, Vasant Prabhuji.
Ainanda tanuja kinkaram patitam mam vishame bhavam budaho kripaya tava pada pankaja stitaduli sadrashayam vichintaya.
O son of Maharaj Nanda, I am your eternal servitor. Yet somehow or other, I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, is it visible Prabhu?
Yes, now I can see. Yes, yes. Okay. All right, Prabhuji. So we'll continue. So again, Preeti Sarupni Mataji, please continue.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Nayanam galatasrudaraya vadanam gadgadarudaya gira pulakair nichitam babukata tava nama grahane bhavishyati.
O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love, flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? Vasant Prabhuji.
Yuha idam nimishena sakshusha pravyayisham sunyayitam jagat sarvam govinda virahena me.
Oh Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. And the last one, Mamta Mataji.
Yes, Prabhu. Askliyesa va padaratam vinashu mam adarshana mam marmahatam karatu va yatha tatha va vidadatu lampato mam prananatha sa tu sa eva napraha.
I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly with his embrace or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord unconditionally. So these, all of you know, very important. These are the life of all the devotees. This verse especially means a lot to many of us where when the things are going well, we tend to be happy and then we want to, do some devotional service. But the moment things are not going well, sometimes we feel that, oh, I'm actually praying, I'm doing the devotional service, but I'm going through these tough times, right? So there is a very important message here that the worship of the Lord has to be, this love has to be unconditional. There shouldn't be any conditions here. So with this, we go back to the second slide, Sadhu Prabhuji. Yeah, here. So we discussed the purpose of the advent of Mahaprabhu. We looked at the primary associates, a brief overview of the life. Then his primary teachings, the philosophy, right? And then also looked at the 8 verses of the instructions. So this is the first part of it. I had slides unto this stage. And then as I mentioned, for the rest of the part, I have some notes. I went through the book and I would like to, talk through that. So I'll continue and then please let me know if we have to stop anytime. And in case we want to, extend today, I'm okay that way. Or else, if all of you are okay, we can continue tomorrow, or we can take the next one. So I'll begin with the birth, right, of Mahaprabhu. So in those times, the situation, as you know, right, there has to be some situation where the Lord appears, right? So there were invaders, there were lots of social factors, there was oppression from the ill-motivated higher caste. That all led to the revival of the Bhakti movement. So some Brahmanas, they settled in Navdvipa, which is considered as a center of scholarship. Though, as I said, the ambience was overwhelmingly materialistic then. And also due to its location near the sacred Ganges. And so one of these Brahmins was Jagannath Mishra, the father of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jagannath Mishra is the 5th of the 7 sons of a great Brahmin named Sri Upendra Mishra. So he moved from Sylhet now in Bangladesh, to Nadia, which is a neighborhood of Navdvipa. Jagannath Mishra was married to Sachi Devi, who was the daughter of Nilamba Chakravarti, a very famous astrologer then. And Jagannath Mishra and Sachi Devi were very keen to have a child. They were great devotees of the Supreme Lord. So they had a daughter first who died just after birth. A year later, another daughter, and then this went on. 8 daughters died one after the other. This was very painful and heartbreaking for the parents that their newborns kept dying. However, they never gave up and they continued to worship Shaligram Sila at home. And finally, they had a little son who survived. His name was Vishwarupa. And then finally, Vishwambara, who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, was her last child. So Chaitanya, when Sachi Mata was pregnant, she became very effulgent, right? You know the reasons, right? And she used to see divine beings worshipping the unborn child. And something special happened. Her pregnancy actually lasted for 13 months. So everyone got concerned, and Nilamba Chakravarti, her father, who's an astrologer, he did his calculations and then said that no need to worry, the child is very special and is waiting for a very auspicious time to come out. So what was this auspicious time? This was the eclipse of the full moon. Usually, lunar eclipse is not considered, some people fear that. They may not consider that as an auspicious time. And but Mahaprabhu chose that time. And as per the traditions there, local traditions, all the residents were standing in Ganga and they were all chanting Hari Hari. So this vibration was going on. This was the month of Falguna. The date was 18th Feb 1486 AD. And this in the vibrations of Sri Hari chanting, our Gaur Hari manifested himself. So when Sita Devi, who's the wife of Advaitacharya, she saw the baby, then she immediately confirmed that the baby boy had the same features as Lord Krishna, though the complexion was a bit different. Then since he was born under the neem tree, he also got the name as Nimai. So this is about the birth of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then let's take a look at some of the pastimes. So as soon as a child was born, the famine ended there on the land. The farmers were blessed with rain, and the earth again became happy, as if Lord Narayana was himself protecting the earth. So then his father, Nilambara Chakravarti, along with the other scholars, they decided to name the baby as Vishwambara. Vishwambara means the maintainer of the worlds. So during the name-giving ceremony, the Brahmanas, they were chanting the auspicious mantras, and among the locals, number of demigods disguised themselves, and then they also joined. And they were all chanting Hari Hari, blowing the shankhas, beating the drums, ringing the bells. Various objects like puffed rice, books, coins, uncooked rice, and other dishes were placed before the infant. And Jagannath Mishra, his father, said that, "Oh, my child, there are so many things before you. So whatever you like, you just take it." So the infant ignored everything and just hugged the Srimad Bhagavatam there. Everyone was so jubilant, and then they cheered when they saw the baby doing that. And the baby was playing or crying, and then the neighborhood women, whenever they used to come and see, then baby Nimai would start crying. And until and unless all these women from the neighborhood say Hari, 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 then only the baby Nimai would stop. So this way, baby Nimai would make them chant all the day long. Another instance, Sachi Mata and Jagannath Mishra, one time, they saw that baby Nimai was playing in the courtyard. However, there was a massive snake. And then the baby Nimai was playing with the snake. And they were panicked to see that. So the snake crawled all around the body of Nimai and then finally left. So we know that this snake is none other than Ananta Sesha. Another instance, there were some thieves who entered in the locality where Nimai was there with the parents. They saw the baby Nimai looking beautiful, well decorated. So they grabbed Nimai and then put him into a bag and then started running. When Mother Sachi Mata and then the neighbors, they did not find Nimai, they started looking for Nimai everywhere, but the Nimai could not be found. However, what happened is under the illusory energy of the Lord, the thieves could not find a way out. And they kept running in circles and then always came back to the front of Jagannath Mishra's house. They got totally confused and then they had to leave Nimai there and then they ran away. As the baby Nimai was growing up, there's another pastime that a Brahmana guest came to Navadvipa, and this Brahmana guest was hosted by Jagannath Mishra. So the Brahmana cooked some rice to offer to his Saligram Sila. And at the time when the Brahmana was just offering, from somewhere Nimai came and he ate some of the rice. The Brahmana was very disappointed, and on the request of Jagannath Mishra, the Brahmana cooked again. And when again he was ready to make the offering, again somehow baby Nimai came and ate rice from there. This time Jagannath Mishra said, okay, I'm sincerely apologize. And then he said, I'm going to lock Nimai into a room. And then you please, Brahmana, please cook again. This time Nimai is locked, so he won't be disturbing you. Now, in this process, it was almost like midnight. The Brahmana again cooked. But again, Nimai came. Though he was locked in the room, he came. And then the Brahmana this time started crying desperately that the Lord Vishnu actually doesn't want him to eat. So that's why this child is somehow coming and always taking, from the boga. So then seeing him, Nimai spoke that, don't you know that I am the same Lord to whom you are offering every day? The Brahmana could not believe. And then this was the first, expression where baby Nimai displayed the four-armed form of Lord Vishnu and blessed the Brahmana. Another instance from the past time where two devotees, Hiranya and Jagdisha, they lived in the neighborhood of Navadvipa, and they used to very nicely offer service to the Supreme Lord, and they used to observe the Ekadashi fasting. So on one Ekadashi, they prepared very nice items. Somehow, Nimai walked a very long distance from his house, and then at the key time entered into their house. And then he demanded to them that that offering should be given to him. The devotees were surprised, they pleasantly surprised. They could not believe that how baby Nimai first came to know. And then how come he came from all the way? And now he is demanding that the offering be given to him. However, they were very happy to offer. Another instance of the child Nimai, there was a beggar who came banging his drum and then chanting the glories of Lord Shiva, came at the door. And when Nimai saw him, Nimai assumed the form of Lord Shiva and then danced on the shoulders of the devotee. So this is how some of the glorious pastimes of Nimai when he was a baby. As he was growing up as a child, he was naughty as well, as we know for Krishna. So whenever the Brahmanas were standing in the Ganges offering the Gayatri mantra, Nimai would sometimes go underwater, pull their legs, splash water on them. He would sometimes mix their clothes, creating a lot of confusion. So this is how Nimai was growing up. In those days, he used to marry very early. So one time while he was walking on the banks of Ganga, he came across Lakshmi Priya. So Lakshmi Priya is actually an avatar of Mahalakshmi, who was actually going to Lord Vishnu's temple and then having garland sweets carrying with her. But then somehow she ended up offering all this to Nimai in their very first meeting. There's another instance about the child Nimai discussing philosophy, where Sachi Mata once found Nimai sitting on discarded cooking pots. They were like clay cooking pots then. So she asked him to get down, that it was dirty and contaminated, why he was sitting there. Nimai argued that you cooked bhoga for Lord Vishnu in these pots. So how can they be contaminated? But my mother said that no, they are dirty and they are used already, and that's why they are thrown, and so you should be away from that. However, Nimai continued that this is pure, that is impure. It is just a sentiment. It doesn't have any basis. Everything is in relationship to Lord Vishnu and is considered to be an expansion of Vishnu's energy. Vishnu is the super soul, he is eternal and uncontaminated. So how can this be contaminated? Sachi Mata was surprised at how child Nimai knew all this and how he was discussing. Another time, Sachi Mata caught Nimai eating dirt. So then she said, why I give you so many nice sweets and other preparations, then why are you eating earth? Right? The Nimai said, there is no difference. It's all one. The sweets are ultimately produced by earth or the items that are taken from earth. So if I'm eating earth, it's the same. Immediately, Sachi Devi understood that Nimai was bringing up Advaita. And then she explained that a lump of clay is not the same as a pot. That is a pot which is made from the clay. However, that lump and the pot are not the same, though they are all produced from the same earth. So only when a proper pot is produced, then it can hold some water. The lump of clay cannot hold the water. So in the same way, if the sweets are produced from earth, the crude earth cannot have the same nourishment to the body as the sweets. And then this is how the beautiful discussion concluded with Nimai convinced and supported Mother Sachi Devi there. So the child Nimai was very naughty, and Jagannath Mishra used to always chastise Nimai. However, in one day in his dreams, a divine being appeared that you should not do that because Nimai is already a very elevated personality. So these are some of the pastimes. So we looked at the birth, and we also looked at some of the pastimes of Devi Nimai. Then we move on as to the next chapter, which is focusing on the youth of Nimai. It's titled "The Youthful Scholar." As Nimai was growing up, his thread ceremony was performed, and he was sent to the school of Gangadasa Pandita. And as we all know, Nimai immediately mastered all the studies and became a very competent scholar. However, during this time, unfortunately, his father also passed away. So in terms of early job, Nimai opened up a Sanskrit school for kids. And there he was very persistent that the kids do well. They should always apply a tilaka. He used to go around and debate with the scholars. Then the way he used to debate was like he would make a statement and then challenge others to rebut him. When he would then defeat their argument with another one. So this is how he would throw something, then challenge others, and whenever they spoke, then he would again defeat them with the argument. Eventually, when everyone would give up, he would rebut his own contention. So this is how he was very, very intelligent, and he had mastered all the studies, and he was going around interacting. These were the early days. When Srivasa Pandit, who was a very noted Vaishnava and scholar there, he observed him. He said that you are so capable, you have so much potential. Why don't you focus on worshipping Krishna? Because that would make your knowledge perfect. And Nimai requested Srivasa Pandit that, okay, kindly give me this pure association, and I'll be happy to, advance in this direction. So Nimai used to get a lot of guests at home, one time Ishwara Puri, who is a sannyasi disciple of great Vaishnava Madhavendra Puri, came to his house, and then he had written a book named Sri Krishna Leelamrita. So he requested Nimai that please proofread it. Nimai said, no, I don't need to. It is perfect because it is inspired by Lord Krishna. So there is absolutely no need for any corrections. Here, very important thing for us is that Nimai used to move around, and he had no restrictions. He used to mingle with people irrespective of their caste or background, and the people used to just love him and used to give him gifts. As the time progressed, Nimai married to Lakshmi Priya, the same girl who had met earlier when Lakshmi Priya in the very first meeting offered to Nimai the garland and the sweets that actually she was going to give to Lord, offer to Lord Vishnu in the temple. So Nimai married Lakshmi Priya, and she turned out to be a very good wife and was taking care of him and Sachi Devi. So Nimai continued in this fashion. He used to invite lots of guests at the home, used to treat them well. Now Sachi Devi was worried because they didn't have any proper earning. His father had passed away, and Nimai understood this. So she said to Mother Sachi Devi that I would like to go to the East Bengal, and the purpose would be to do some teaching and make some earnings. However, we know that the actual purpose was to do the preaching. So people were very impressed with him. They used to give him gold coins, silver coins, clothes, utensils. There is one instance here that there was a Brahmana, Tapan Mishra. Tapan Mishra was very keen to understand the purpose of life. So he used to read books non-stop. However, that did not help him because he got more and more confused, and he was very restless. So one time in his dream, a divine being came up and said, Nimai Pandita is around, and instead of getting confused and worried, he should consult Nimai because Nimai would have answers to all his questions and would solve his problems. So when finally Tapan Mishra met Nimai, Nimai explained to him that Hari Nam was the only way to find peace and liberation. And at this stage, he quoted from the Brahman Ardhiya Puran, Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nam eva kevalam, Kalau nastaiva, nastaiva, nastaiva gatiranyatha. He further gave him the Mahamantra and told him that it will give him all the success. Tapan was very relieved, and he immediately expressed a desire that I would like to give up everything and just follow you. But then Nimai advised him that Tapan should go to Varanasi, where Mahaprabhu would be meeting him later. So while Nimai was in East Bengal trying to preach and also get some earnings, Lakshmi Priya, his wife, felt intense separation. And an unfortunate incident happened where she got bitten by a snake and passed away. Eventually, when Nimai returned with a lot of wealth, he was broke to learn this, and also he consoled his mother. Then, with a repeated request from his mother, he married again. So the first wife was Lakshmi Priya, and this time the wife's name is Vishnu Priya. So there is another instance from his youthful days about a very famous Pandit. His name is Keshav Kashmiri. He was considered as a Digvijay. He was a Pandit from Kashmir named Keshav Kashmiri. And wherever he used to go, he used to engage all the scholars and then defeat them with his arguments. So the moment the scholars heard that he's coming to Navadvipa, they all escaped from there. So the only scholar left there was Nimai Pandit. So one time on the banks of Ganga, Nimai Pandit, he offered prayers, he offered respects to Keshav Kashmiri, and then asked Keshav Kashmiri that why don't you sing something in praise of Mother Ganga. So Keshav Kashmiri immediately composed 100 verses at that spot. Nimai Pandita said, very nice. And then he said, you select one verse and then discuss more on the qualities and then also tell about some of the faults. Keshav Kashmiri was very stunned and then he said that, no, I just composed this. It is flawless. There cannot be any faults in this. Nimai then picked up one stanza and then he recited that. This was a big surprise for Keshav Kashmiri because he said, I just composed it. How could you remember this? Because I said this so fast. Nimai said that he remembered everything, whatever he heard. And then he further went on to highlight some of the qualities that Keshav Kashmiri didn't even think of from that verse. And then he also concluded by bringing in some faults. That was a shocker for Keshav Kashmiri. Feeling broke, Keshav Kashmiri returned home and then he prayed to Ma Saraswati that, oh mother, you have blessed me, but I got defeated today and that's why I'm very sad. So while he was sleeping, Mother Saraswati appeared in the dream and said that, oh Keshav Kashmiri, my devotee, you actually got defeated by somebody who is the object of my worship. And then, so Keshav Kashmiri, you should go and immediately surrender to him. So this is how this nice pastime is there. Keshav Kashmiri, the next day morning, he immediately bowed down and surrendered to Nimai. So these are some of the pastimes from the young phase of Nimai. I just want to do a time check. If all of you are okay, then I would continue with the chapter 3, which is about the initiation and the start of Sankirtana movement. But if you feel that we need to stop here, then I can take up tomorrow or in the next class. Please let me know.
Prabhu, how much time, more time it may take, Prabhu?
2 hours.
Another 2 hours.
Yes.
Yeah. Then we will do next week, Prabhu, if all are okay.
Yeah, Prabhu, because today is first day of Navratri also, so if we can resume it next week, then we all, I think, can
Yes,
concentrate
yes,
better.
it's okay.
What you say, Himanshu Prabhu, and everybody?
Yeah, no, I completely agree with all of you.
So we can continue with the next week then.
Yeah.
Okay, Prabhuji. Okay.
So is tomorrow okay? I just wanted to also check.
No problem.
Okay, tomorrow will not work. Okay.
Yeah, Prabhu.
All right. So we'll have to take in the next one.
Prabhu, tomorrow will not work. Yeah, संतोष प्रभु का ऑलरेडी सुबह में क्लास होता है प्रभु 7:30 को, तो नहीं होगा प्रभु सुबह में कल.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So thank you very much. As I mentioned, there's so much detail and all of you are so much aware. I just followed this book from His Grace Bhakti Vikas Swami Maharaj. And for me, this has been a very important learning as I was preparing. Then I went chapter by chapter. It was not easy for me, but it has been a great help where I could go through. I don't have the patience and then that understanding to read the big volumes, but this book definitely helped me, and it explains the various phases, and it also explains the travel and then the pastimes. So this is very good information, and it is I got greatly benefited through this. So this is where we stop. We are on chapter 3. We'll begin from here and then continue in the next class. Thank you very much for your time.
Hari bol, Hari. Very blissful lecture, Prabhuji. Many thanks for the wonderful session. So you had covered fully the detailed aspects of pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Got to know so many information, and really appreciate your effort, like you have put in to enlighten us about the Advent, the associates, the life overview, and all the teachings, and the Shishtastakam, everything. So you have covered the nook and corner, helping us to dive deep into the ocean of nectarian pastimes. So as you said, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has taught us like how to get out of this material existence just by giving the two simple method, just by chanting and also serving the devotees. So like just understanding the state of mind or bhava, and just by relishing that mood, so we can also experience that separation from Krishna, and we can get out of get out of this material existence. So now, so as you said, like no one else in the world is as merciful as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because just by worshipping the lotus feet, we will get the greatest treasure, that is Krishna Prema. To experience that Krishna Prema, we need the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So I would like to invite Adi Sundari Mataji to share her thoughts and realizations about today's session. Hare Krishna Mataji, are you there?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandat Pranam.
Pranam, Mataji.
Yeah.
Mataji, first of all, very sorry. I missed your very beautiful bhajan. My Prabhu told you sang that Achutam Keshvam, but I missed. I'm really sorry. I will definitely listen recording.
Sure.
Now, Himanshu Prabhu, very nice, simple, and very informative, and beautiful class, Prabhu, I must say. And especially that PPT, it is like very simple and beautiful PPT, Prabhu, and very informative class. So that's all, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Mataji, Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Many
Thank you
thanks.
so much.
Yeah, carry on, Prabhu.
No, please carry on.
Yeah.
I was just thanking you and Mataji.
Hari bol. Next, I would like to invite Mamta Mataji to share her views. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Pita Mataji, starting from you, you start the day on a very melodious note. It was wonderful. So I heard this many times, but from you, it was coming with some other bhava. So that can be felt, Mataji. It was wonderful to listen you, and we all know your voice is superb. So thank you, Mataji, for making the day, and for making us listen the such a beautiful bhajan. Thank you. Moving forward to Himanshu Prabhu, our Himanshu Prabhu, full of qualities, full of simplicity, and full of information. He's fully loaded today with all the information. I'm sure he has gone through the entire book, and he has just absorbed, and he is ready to pour upon us. Being having a time limitation, we are unfortunate enough to not to listen today, Prabhu, but your dedication, your given time, your knowledge, everything can be seen, Prabhu. You have taken all small bits and pieces, everything, whatever you could portray. You are not hesitant. So every single thing. I mean, we all have heard about Mahaprabhu, but listening from you is going to be another experience. And yes, we will resume again to complete the entire Leela and the entire detail. So thank you very much, Prabhu. I don't have much to say. All is informative for me. All is the knowledge, and what should I say? I'm just collecting all from you. Thank you for enlightening us, Prabhu. Sincere Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Next, I would like to invite Sadhu Sevana Prabhuji for sharing his realizations. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, and thank you so much, Preeti Swaropini, Madhavi Devi Dasi Mataji, and once again, congratulations, because we are meeting for the first time after that. So thank you so much, Mataji. I mean, it was very unique because so far, whichever bhajans we have heard, like they are mainly in, like either in Sanskrit or right or Bengali. So we were like sort of like used to, but when you sang this, like, because most of the words were like purely in Hindi, right? So we heard for the first time, and it was very, very unique experience. So, so it was not looking like as if you don't, I mean, you are not that fluent in Hindi, but it was coming very, very naturally and very, in fact, more clearly than otherwise any Hindi speaker would have recited. So thanks for that, unique, really. So, and Himanshu Prabhuji, the best thing that I liked was, Prabhu, your flow and the simplicity, Prabhu, because again, it was like very, very natural, Prabhu, and you were doing injustice with us by not taking the classes earlier, because you have so much of knowledge, love, right? And then we should have got the chance to hear from you many times earlier, but so thanks, Prabhu. And one word which I really liked, Prabhu, was your initial sentence, Prabhu, that let us understand and appreciate. So this word appreciate, Prabhu, is very important in our lives, because I will tell you like how it works. I mean, based on my limited knowledge that I have gained from you all only. Prabhu, when I started my engineering, sorry for those, I mean, who are not knowing about like in computer science, any person who wants to learn the C language, right? Yashwant Kanitkar is considered to be one of the very, very most renowned author. Okay. I don't know about South, but like in North India, like every single person whoever is studying computer science C language will have the book of Yashwant Kanitkar. Fortunately, when I was starting my engineering, after his C language, he published another book. It was called Data Structure. Sorry, I'm using a material example to explain the word appreciate. So when I started my engineering, so that time his new book came, Data Structure. Data structure is the most important, one of the most important subject in any computer science student's life. Okay, it makes your concept clear and which will be useful for your whole life, whole engineering life. Fortunately, when I went to the bookshop, I got to know about this book, Data Structure by Yashwant Kanitkar. So because Yashwant Kanitkar has written, so I thought, okay, let me try. Along with that book, Prabhu, one CD came. In that CD, they explained those concepts of data structure in the form of a pictures, animation, and it made the things so clear that even today, after almost 20 years, I can connect. So here comes the importance of the word appreciation. Things which we really like, which have some room in our heart. Okay, only those things we can appreciate. Okay, so here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who came as a devotee and hided his incarnation as a Lord, did not reveal himself, the original identity. He did so because we can learn from there. I will take another common example. They are going to start learning the counting, for example. So if she writes number 1, number 2, number 3, fine, she will learn. She will be mastered in that. But if the number 1 comes himself and explains, dances, okay, and it reveals itself, then Diya will never forget the number one. So I hope we can connect. Mahaprabhu came himself, the Lord came himself, demonstrates how a devotee should be, so that we can learn from there and really appreciate from how we should be. So, and then all the followers of Mahaprabhu, all the Goswamis, all our acharyas, they are all the Nitya Parshads. So they did not require to do take so much pain to write those books. When do we write books? So Himanshu, if I ask this question to yourself, I mean, for example, right? Okay, I will take my example. I know I have to die one day. I know my kids, Nikunj and Darshil, are not that intelligent. Okay, so when I am going to die, I will write certain things in such a way so that at least they will be able to survive. I will tell them, boss, you meet this person, he will help you. Why will I write? Because if I tell him no, he might forget. Maybe he will think that I said something else, because I know they're not that intelligent. Their memory is very weak. So I will write the instructions one step by one step. Do this, then this, follow this, meet this, do this, eat this, sleep like this, wake up like this, chant like this. I will write by will, so that they don't deviate from there. Right? When I'm writing my will, I will not explain that I really enjoyed desert safari when I was in Dubai. Right? I will not like that. I mean, I will not mention that, because this is my will. I will write those things which are very, very important for them, so that they can use and re-implement and get benefited. These books of our acharyas are like their wills. They are telling us, and the unfortunate part is like we don't realize the fact that how important they are for us. Mahaprabhu gave the Siksashtam, right? There was a purpose. I mean, he could write many things. He could not write even Siksashtam. He gave only Siksashtam. This itself is a subject of meditation, like how important the Siksashtam can be. So thank you so much, Prabhuji, for taking us throughout the life of Mahaprabhu and making us part of this great activity that you are doing. Thanks a lot, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you so much, Prabhuji. Very deep analysis. Great insights. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, many thanks. And now I would like to invite Vasant Prabhuji just to share his thoughts.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. First of all, Preeta, very nice kirtan. Preeti Swarupini Madhavi Devidasi, a very nice kirtan, like it to start with. So then Himanshu Prabhu, you humbled us, you flowed us like with all your excellent flow and the details which you gone through. I know that like we all vouch for it. You have the better flow than anyone else in this group. Like, okay, I don't want to compare, but you, once you dwell into the topic, like you are the master of that topic. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also like a very confidential avatar, and by just hearing your conversation, we could able to dwell into all those pastime. So amazingly done, Prabhu. Like a what I just want to mention as Sadhu Sevan Prabhu mentioned. So it was so wonderful that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu like given only this Sishashagam is good enough like for us to dwell into like all through our life, because my favorite line in that Sishashagam, like I almost like I love all the lines, but Namna Mahari Bagudari Nija Sarva Saktis, like so Lord is so merciful that he invested all his energies, like how great he is. Just for Muda like me, he invested all his energy in Harinam Sankirtan and like a Hare Krishna Mahamantra, but still we are I am so fallen, like I don't have the taste to experience that particular thing. So recently I forwarded like a uh, one post also, like a shared by His Holiness Indradumna Swami Maharaj. And many a times, like a Raghuveer Prabhu also used to say, the one mind which is saying now, okay, I need to enjoy the material opulence, I need to enjoy like my work, I need to have a lot of fame, I need to have like a lot of money, lot of wealth, etc, etc. The same mind, okay, now that mind is saying, okay, wait, we have still time to chant, to do devotion service, let us enjoy the material opulence. The same mind will say at our antakala, like during our finishing days, oh my goodness, like how much I wasted in my whole life. I could have chanted one more Hare Krishna, like while I was watching this movie, or while I was contemplating on like whether this politician did correct or not, whether like that ball bowled by uh, or batted by like a Sachin would have been like a sixer instead of he got out. So all those things like will come at our end time, and it will haunt us, like it will we would think, oh my goodness, like how much I wasted my time. So rather than contemplating all those things like during the later time, so let us start contemplating, okay, I have very limited time, so let me enjoy uh, the glories of like a holy name, and let me uh, serve the holy name, let me serve the devotees, let me serve like the Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji's movement, and let me serve Srila Prabhupada. Like if we contemplate into that particular thought, then we are fulfilling like his desire and his dream, like who is Krishna, whom we all know, like he is waiting eagerly, as we seen in Gopakumara's story, where Gopakumara, after seeing Krishna, he is fainting, and after seeing Gopakumara, Lord Krishna also fainting. So he was asking like, why it taken so much time for you to reach, for you to realize, for you to re-establish the relationship with me. So let us dwell into that thought process. Let us contemplate like all our time, that repentance and the austerity is only going to take us like a back to Godhead. So that repentance like of we separated from Krishna, so we need to think about like each and every moment of our life, and let me do this austerity, like let me give what only this life, like we have given so many lives to Maya, only this life, like let us give me to Krishna by surrendering into him, his lotus feet. Let me go back to the Godhead, like so that has to be our mood. And you just fulfill like all those with all those pastime and all those importance of like his movement. Thanks a lot, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much, Vasant Prabhu. Yeah. Himanshu Prabhuji, once again, many thanks for the inspiring sessions. So if anything we want to know about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or Chaitanya Charitamrita, like just by referring to your today's lecture, the whole gist of Chaitanya Charitamrita, like we can understand and appreciate as putting in your words. So just a small add-on. In yesterday's class, Raghuveer Prabhuji was saying, like after Krishna left this world, how Yudhishthira Maharaj and gopis, like they were thinking about these pastimes or activities of Krishna and how they were leaving their body. So that was a thought-provoking thing. So just by immersing in the thoughts or remembering the constant remembrance of Krishna, and yeah, hearing about Krishna or the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the golden avatara, so we also can meditate on that form activities or pastimes, so we can like we can drive away our material contamination, and we will also get the mercy of Sri Krishna Chaitanya, just by being conscious of Krishna all the time, by the most important aspect which been given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, like as it is stated in Sarvopadi Vinirmuktam Rishi Tatparatvena Nirmalam Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchade. So that is the most important thing. So just by serving the devotees or just by chanting the holy name, you will get out of all this material contamination, and you will get rid of all this material sense gratification as well. So so as Sunil Prabhuji was also mentioning how a devotee should be, so all these teachings been very nicely explained by you, Prabhu. So many thanks for your extra effort. So looking forward next week for the exciting episodes of loving relations of devotees and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Once again, many thanks for the inspiring session. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Pranam. Thank you so much, Mataji. I've been proved right, because I know this was the best part, not my class. I mean, all these realizations and the comments that came in and those insights, again, I've learned a lot from all of you here. So it's wonderful. Thanks all for your time. I guess we have overshooted the time, so maybe we can close the session.
Yeah, sure, Prabhuji. Yeah. So we can just switch on our